Welcome to Enlightenment of Change on webtalkradio.net. I'm your host, Connie Whitman. And as always, thanks for joining us this week. Now, as you listen to the show, I really do hope that you feel my passion about helping you change your perspective so that you can clearly see whatever your successful future looks like to you. And by incorporating little changes that we share on the show, hopefully you're able to create that change and create huge impact in your life, whether it's scaling your business, getting more clients, changing careers, whatever it is for you. Now, I'd also love for you to help you again on your journey of change. I just started a all-star community, and I would love for you to come and join and play. We meet twice a month. It's $1 to join, so it's a no-brainer. And I would love for you to come and play with me, get to know me, and have me get to know you. So join us. The link is in the show notes. So come and play. Now, my motivational quote today is by Joseph Hall, and Joseph says, "Our body is a well-set clock, which keeps good time. But if it be too much or indiscreetly tampered with, the alarm runs out before the hour." So I don't know about you guys, but every day I wake up and I feel that my body clock is either feeling rested or and firing on all cylinders, or sometimes I know I feel a little bit sluggish in the morning. Now, I've had friends and family who had to travel for business, really pre-pandemic, and the jet lag and other side effects were really sometimes detrimental to their health. Now, for those of you that don't know me, I am over 5'10", 5 feet 10 inches tall. So airplanes kind of not my favorite way to travel. I feel very claustrophobic in them. So as my career grew, I always made sure that I didn't have to travel. So again, what we're going to talk about today is a little bit about jet lag, which I know we've all experienced, whether you've traveled for business or not. Now, perhaps post-pandemic, this is not as big an issue as it once was, but everything is coming back to light. So is it possible to actually reset the jet lag or those feelings of jet lag? Well, of course, today I have a guest who's going to say, yeah, and his name is Ted Finn. And Ted and we're going to discuss how to reset your body clock using acupuncture and kinesiology, and how his company has made this into a freaking mobile app for global travelers. Like, holy smokes. Now, Ted is the co-founder and CEO of Uplift, a 30-plus year entrepreneur, endurance athlete. He's a biohacker with 2.5 million air miles. Oh my God. And is a passionate cyclist and skier. Ted's company, Uplift, is a digital health company providing solutions to optimizing sleep for health and performance for travel, AKA jet lag and work. The Uplift protocol deploys neuroscience and ancient wisdom, acupressure on a mobile app platform that guides users to reset one of their body clocks in just a few minutes, effectively neutralizing that whole jet lag perspective. So Ted, I am so excited for our conversation today. Sleep is a big issue for people.
Connie, first, thanks for having me on the show. It's an honor to be here. And yes, sleep is a huge issue. And we have become sleep here over the past 5 years at Uplift as we work on some of the biggest sleep problems out there. And the first one that we started with is jet lag. And let me give a little background for you and for your listeners on what jet lag really is. Medically, they call jet lag desynchronisis, because you're desynchronized from your place and your time. And that's done because of jet travel, because you're traveling so fast by jet plane around the planet, changing time zones. It's much faster than you would be, you would be in any other mode of transportation. So a very modern problem, but also in a sense, a serious problem, because when you're desynchronized and you have jet lag, most people are affected. They'll notice that their sleep is disrupted. Their digestion is disrupted.
Sure.
But all of your physiological systems are disrupted by jet lag. And, I don't like to throw around like always the medical terms, but the desynchronization of your body clock is very obvious to you when you're totally exhausted and lying awake in the middle of the night. It's
Yes.
like, how can this be? So I spent 30 years in the footwear business, making shoes in 12 different countries, mostly in Asia, and was exposed to jet lag too many times.
Yeah.
So most of those 2.5 million miles were international trips.
Jeez.
I probably had enough jet lag for 4 lifetimes.
Wow.
But what I didn't know is that there was a solution. And that's how I met my co-founder, Dr. Charles Krebs. And he told me his story about developing a solution using acupressure points to influence one of your body clocks, and you have many body clocks, to change your physiological time or to align your time with your place. So at first I'm like, Charles, this is amazing. Like, where have you been all my life? Like,
Seriously, right?
like, and then I'm like, really? Does this work? So of course, I had to try it.
Of course.
Of course. So I tried it with my father on a couple of trips to Italy, where we had both lived together as a family for quite a few years and traveled on business for decades. So we knew our like jet lag. We knew our, baseline of what
Sure.
this trip would do to us.
Sure.
And like, my dad's a little bit older than me, and he'd wake up at 3 a.m, couldn't go back to sleep. So by lunchtime, he would be like, dozing off.
Yeah.
You need that siesta when you're in Europe.
Yes.
And lo and behold, on both trips that we took, he was able to go back to sleep. And he's like, "Wow, I'm amazed. I'm shocked." And then I noticed that my adjustment time was better. And I always had a lot of problems with digestion, because I'm eating breakfast, or I'm eating lunch when it should be breakfast, and
Yes.
meal times are topsy turvy, and it doesn't matter whether the food is great. It's your digestive system is running on a different time. So I noticed the difference as well. And we came back and we said, Charles, it really works. He goes, of course it really works. I invented it. Which is also an interesting story.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, Ted, you're a business person, you're a traveler. Like, I'm a scientist. I would love to help people who travel. He says, I've traveled 3 million miles, and ever since I've used this, it's been amazing. I lived in Australia, and he was traveling to Germany to teach his acupressure protocols. So Charles is like the grandfather of what is called energetic kinesiology, and using that to develop acupressure-based protocols to help people with different problems. And he's worked on problems for learning, for ADD, ADHD, dyslexia. And he's been able to influence people's neurological and internal communication systems using acupressure. He's written textbooks on it. He's been a keynote speaker. He's in that world, he's really famous.
Absolutely.
And there was an institute in Germany that studies that, and they got a hold of his work, and they said, Charles, you got to come here and teach us what's going on with your protocols. So he said, sure. And he was living in Melbourne, Australia. So he started traveling from Melbourne to Germany to teach neurology, and he had a problem with jet lag.
Yeah.
So being Charles, he came up with a solution for himself. and started using it. And then he ended up with like close to 500 Australian friends who started using it. And eventually he, it was like written on the back of a, napkin or an envelope. And then he had like a little folder, and, it was very complicated
Rough. Yeah.
to use. So, but he ended up in Boston, and by chance, by fate, I met him. And he asked me at the right time. So I said, yes, Charles, I'll do this with you. And we built the Uplift mobile app to guide users to find the acupressure points that correspond to their itinerary, their travel. And the points will vary depending on, like we're flying from Boston to Paris, it's one solution. We're flying to San Francisco, it's another. Hong Kong, it's another. If the flight is delayed by a couple of hours, the solution will change.
Wow.
So basically, we have a formula, a secret formula.
Before you get into that. So I want to unpack a couple of things that you said. So I
Sure.
was giggling when you said your dad had, at noon in wherever the country was, he's ready to go to sleep because it's like his body thinks it's 2 a.m. in the morning, right? Back in Boston.
Right.
And your digestive issues. So every time we travel, my husband can't go to the bathroom. So everybody listening, when we travel, our sleep changes, our digestion changes. So this is my question. Are they two? Because you said we have multiple body clocks. Is that two of the body clocks? I want to just understand what you meant by that. Okay, please.
So, yeah, our body has rhythms that, take place over a normal day of 24 hours.
Okay.
They get disrupted and changed when we travel by, multiple time zones by jet, and it affects all of those systems. Our body has many, many clocks. The main clock that most people have heard of is the circadian rhythm clock.
Yep.
And that clock is adjusted mostly by the light dark cycle. So the exposure to, the sunrise and sunset and natural light is a very powerful cue for that body clock. But there are other body clocks. And one of the body clock systems that we use is the meridian body clock, which is a, from Eastern medicine that goes back for 5,000 years. And that body clock system says that at night, your body actually detoxes different organs. Okay. In the morning, your digestion kicks in, and the energy in your body clock is in your digestion, which is often when we go to the bathroom in the morning. At the middle of the day, our heart and, our strength is the strongest. So these were observations made without, without biological tests, because they started thousands of years ago.
Right.
But it just so happens that, just in the past year or two, they've done studies that said, we realize that our brain and our liver and certain organs detox at night. So these systems come from different times, cultures, but they line up.
And you don't have to go through all of them, but I just wanted to understand that clarification, Ted. So thank you for that. That makes so much sense. So now go back. You said that the app and the other thing I'm finding extremely cool is that it shifts. So if the plane is delayed, there would have to be a shift. So this isn't like a one and done. It truly is a versatile tool, no matter what the situation, no matter what the time zone, no matter what, right. It's adaptable to your body, as well as the specific situation. So that's fascinating to me.
Yeah, it is. And so what we do is we make it easy for users. So you basically put in your itinerary and you say, okay, I'm leaving from, Boston or New York or whatever city. I'm leaving at this time on this day. And I'm arriving in my new time zone, my new destination on this time in this day. And then behind that, there's a very complex formula where we calculate what time you were when you left,
Yes.
because that's changing,
Yes.
and what time you are when you arrive.
Right.
And we line that up with, in a to simplify it, we line it up with the meridian clock and say, okay, I'm landing in Paris at 8 o'clock in the morning. I want to be on 8 o'clock in the morning Paris time when I get there.
Yep.
Now I left New York, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. It's the middle of the night. So we're using there are certain acupressure points that Charles discovered, and he developed this new system of using 2 points, 2 acupressure control points, to input new information into your system, because these points link to different parts of the clock, the meridian clock.
Yep.
And it's basically like, sometimes when you land and your watch changes to the new time.
Yes. The phone automatically. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're not quite to that level yet, but that's what we're doing. We're moving you to the right part of the clock for where you are now. So if it's breakfast in Paris, we're moving you and your body systems to breakfast in Paris. If it's, nighttime in Hong Kong, we're moving you to there. And the goal of that is to reduce the desynchronization, and which creates the friction and the pain of jet lag.
Yeah.
And that's really what we do. Now, some of these trips are really long. You may be tired. You may have flown all night. Some people sleep on planes, some people don't. So there's 2 parts to this. There's the jet lag and the desynchronisis, which we control by adjusting that, guiding you to adjust it for you. The other part is the travel fatigue. So we always recommend to our travelers, do your best. Do your best when you travel to follow our suggestions. We have suggestions in the app, based on Charles and I traveling 5 million air miles.
Yeah.
And, they're common sense, but they're common sense after 5 million air miles. So, just trying to make the most of the trip, and definitely like very basic things also, like staying hydrated. So important. So important. But you can fly on first class. You could, most people don't. You could have, a bed to sleep on, but you're still going to be affected by jet lag.
Absolutely. So another question, like you make those recommendations like hydration. So it's tangible things that I can actually do when I'm traveling, in the throes of traveling, or prep for it beforehand, so I know what the expectation is as I leave, during the flight, and of course when I arrive at whatever my destination is. So these are tangible things that work. Can you give us some of your most frequent and interesting users, like some of the experiences they've had and how they've applied it to their travel? Maybe that question. But here's the thing, maybe part of the question would be, like, Ted, you and I are very different, right? You're a man, I'm a woman. We're probably similar age. You're an athlete, you cycle. I'm not that hardcore, right? Like you are. So there's definite tangible differences. So the app will adjust to male, female type stuff too, or is it more universal than that?
It's more universal than that.
Okay.
Now, we do plan in future versions to try to add additional levels of customization.
Yeah.
So if you tell us a few things, if you want to tell us a few things about yourself in the future, we could provide more customized advice and consulting for your trip. Now we do that with some of our users, where when we tested the app, and also we have some corporate users. And we also we did a multi-year trial with a professional cycling team who travel all over the world to compete, and we just became an official sponsor partner.
Love it.
To Team Novo Nordisk Pro Cycling, and they're an amazing and inspiring group of athletes because they compete at the highest level of professional cycling, which is really hard. And they all have type 1 diabetes.
What?
Yes. They all have type 1 diabetes. So we're so honored to work with this incredible group because their mission is, yes, they're there to go out and win races.
Sure.
And get on the podium. And we're helping them do that by minimizing their jet lag.
Okay, so now this is another question. The jet lag, is that what's creating the because if they all have type 1 diabetes and they're in the top physical form, right? Usually we assume diabetes, you're not eating properly, you're not exercising enough, all of those things. What's the correlation that all of them have that type 1 diabetes? Is it because of the travel?
No, it has nothing to do with travel. Most of them were type 1 is often a genetic, or most of these athletes got type 1 or were diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when they were young.
Wow.
But so type 2 is more involved with lifestyle. Diet and exercise can minimize it. But what they're doing is they're spreading a message of hope to people around the world that have diabetes and saying, listen, we have diabetes, but we're athletes. And we train and we work hard. Obviously, they have to do a lot of special things to monitor their blood sugar and diet. And they have some advantages because the team, supports them. And Novo Nordisk is a sponsor, and they really, have been super generous there. But what we learned about Uplift when we started using it, at first we started getting a lot of business travelers for the pandemic, because in a sense it's a performance enhancer for travel. Because if you're not sleeping, well, and you're not digesting well, it's really hard to like hit the ground running and do meetings all day and work all day and, go to business meetings and you're like half asleep. It's not conducive to doing good business. So a lot of our early adopters were business people who were traveling every month internationally. And they've been really helpful to us to make suggestions how to make the app better, and they've shared their experiences with us. One lady I met who's a doctor who studies resilience is living in Israel and California, traveling back and forth. So I got her to try to use the app. I'm like, I think we can help you. And now she's made like 12 trips. And she's like, Ted, this is amazing. You have saved me like almost 2 days of time on every trip that I've made. I mean, you're talking about like a month, like unbelievable. This has just been terrific.
What's fascinating, Ted, the doctor understands, right, the systems and the biology and all of those things. And when you started to say you leave Boston at 8 a.m. and you arrive in Paris at 2 a.m. or whatever it is, I was waiting for the mathematical calculation of, remember we were kids, you're on a train going 60 miles per hour, and but here's the thing, it's mathematics, right? What you're talking about, and understanding the body's rhythms, the different rhythms, all of that science is out there. He has created you, right? You guys co-founding together, but you've created this literally life-saving tool that is non-invasive. It's using acupressure of, again, we understand that science that's been around for, thousands of years, and just combining it within the technology of an app. So I know precisely what I need to do, again, and those tips of hydrating and all of those things, but I know exactly what acupressure points to hit based on the information now that we can put into an app that does all of that algorithm, all that mathematics in the background, taking all that science together. What a wonderful, exciting time to be alive.
Really interesting time.
Right.
And the technology for this really didn't exist, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because now, in order to help the user, in order to help the traveler to find the points, we have videos and pictograms in the app. So you can watch a video that's 40 seconds long. It explains to you how to find, this point and what it should be, and how to find the second point. And, we keep learning from our users and getting better and better at it. So, being able to guide them and help them to find the points, using videos, using pictograms, is amazing, and something we couldn't do, just a few years ago.
Sure.
And now, we're thinking about, like, well, what's the next level?
Sure.
But so we're also, we also have learned from this and from our users that we can help with other sleep problems. So we are involved in research and development around other sleep. We've had people come to us who have used the app, for travel, and said, hey, I have a strange work schedule, or I have a newborn, or I want to stay out late. So we've had a lot of requests for us to develop other solutions besides jet lag and travel. But that's where we've started. And now we are actually doing some research in other areas.
And here's the thing though, Ted, you have to create the system that works. And if you start to bring in all of these other pieces of the puzzle, like, having a newborn, or, I want to stay out late at night and party, whatever, right? That you're changing your own, the biorhythm. But you got really good in understanding the jet lag, which I think is even more extreme, because we're changing time zones here, having a newborn. Yeah. When I had a newborn, I'll share a really funny story. I remember I was so sleep deprived, and it must've been about 8 weeks. My son was, he had turned 6 or 8 weeks, and he slept through the night. And I went in, and the executive, the president, I reported to, and I don't know what I said or what I did. And he looked at me and he goes, wow, like, you are amazing today. Like, what changed? I go, oh, I had a good night's sleep. How funny is that? But think about that, right? The power of that. Somebody sees when we're sleep deprived or when we're firing on all cylinders. So think about the impact, like you said, with meetings, et cetera, et cetera. So perfecting this algorithm with the time zones, me just being sleep deprived because of a kid, I think I don't know, because I don't know the science, but I would imagine it's going to be even a more simplified process, because you went with the big kahuna, so to speak, the problem, the biggie. Now these other ones, you'll be able to remedy, kind of fostering or using that technology. The other thing I think is really smart is that as you're getting these results and people are saying, hey, I'm sleep deprived because of a kid, a newborn, you're able to take all of that science and now apply it to just a random sleepless nights for a period of a month, or insomnia, right? You said sometimes your dad would get to Italy and he'd be 3 a.m. exhausted, but couldn't go to sleep because our rhythm is off. That helps with insomniacs, right?
Yeah, that's the big problem with jet lag, is that lying awake in the middle of the night and staring at the ceiling.
Yeah. And
you
you have to get up.
Right. And, we're learning so much about sleep and the science around sleep now.
Yeah,
So it's a really interesting time in sleep. And let's face it, sleep is probably the main pillar of health. It's
absolutely.
actually when you heal and when your immune system recharges. So, before the pandemic, we released Uplift, and we had a lot of interest from business travelers, and we also had a lot of skepticism
I bet.
because it's like, how can acupressure change my body? Get rid of jet lag. I don't really understand this, and I think that was part of the integration of holistic medicine and what
Yeah,
we call ancient wisdom, and acupuncture and acupressure is now becoming more mainstream.
mainstream. Yeah,
It's more advanced in other countries.
yeah.
So it's been very interesting, but at the same time, people realize the importance of sleep. And you're traveling, whether you're traveling for business or vacation, every moment is precious.
You said it.
Like we're trying to give you the best quality time
Yes.
that you can have when you're traveling. And also when you come home, because you got to re-enter. Like as a business traveler, like I just traveled for 20 hours and I walk in the door and I'm expected to be present.
That's right.
And I want to be present for my
That's
family.
right. That's
Or I
right.
need to be back in the office tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's, there were a lot of problems with burnout for business travel in particular.
Yes.
Because as much as we love travel and as fun as it is, it's not easy.
Yeah. The old saying, right? I need a vacation after my
Right.
vacation. Because we come back fatigued. We're out of time, but this is, because I'm not the best sleeper. That I met Ted. I'm like, what? You have an app? Like, what? So this was just a natural, because my own curiosity, because sleep is very good medicine. And if you're not sleeping, we're hurting ourselves, maybe piece by piece, but over the long term, it's going to absolutely impact our performance. And whatever that means to you, whether you're an athlete, a business, a mom with a business, whatever, we do want to show up and be present. And all of that ancient wisdom, all of the research now that you've been able to compile, and now the technology, it's a wonderful time to be alive. We are really blessed to have this type of resource. So everybody, please go to the website. It's upliftnaturally.com. If you have a question for Ted, please go to Ted Finn. Finn is Finn, Ted Finn at upliftnaturally.com. And you do have you have a free, can you share your offer?
We have a free trial for the Uplift app for 60 days. So you get to try it before you buy it. So you download it and save your trip, so you remember to use it. And then after that, there's a yearly subscription for $20 a year. I mean, we're giving it away.
You're giving it
We're
away.
giving it away.
And so I want everybody to hear this, because when we started, Ted had one of the questions was in the cost. And I said, you know what? You really want people to talk to you. And he smiled and he goes, Con, it's $20 for the year and we give 2 months free. I'm like, you got to put that in, because that to me is like, really, it's a week's worth of coffee in the morning. So yeah, everybody should download this, especially if you do travel. And the cool thing too, Ted, is, summer, kids are off, people are traveling, and we're coming to life again. So I think the timing of this show is just so valuable as well. So thank you for being on and sharing the science, so we understand. And then the science meets the technology, right? The body is, and now you have this technology that we can control. I don't know whether it's control, but absolutely enhance, so that we are present from a time perspective without fatigue. So thank you so much. I've enjoyed learning about this, and thank you for coming on and sharing with my peeps. Great information.
Thanks for having me, Connie. It's been a pleasure. And, to your audience, if we can help you with your travel and upgrade your travel experience and well-being, health, and performance, we're here to help. So please reach out.
Again, upliftnaturally.com, 20 bucks, 2 months free. So you can even test it out. And then it's 20 bucks for the year. To me, that's just a no brainer. So Ted, thank you again for your generous spirit and just for sharing such great information. And again, this tangible app that people can download immediately and try. So thank you so much. Exciting. It's very exciting that I get to share this with my community. So yeah, really, thank you. It was a joy chatting with you.
You're welcome, and thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, a pleasure always. And I hope you will join me weekly as we question, build, and discover together how to grow and challenge yourself so we all embrace change and realize that it's possible and perhaps easier than you think. Sleep, like this is a big one, and we have a tangible tool for you. So I love it. Again, thank you, Ted. Thank you for joining me. You've been listening to Enlightenment of Change with me, your host, Connie Whitman, on webtalkradio.net. I wish you all an amazing week filled with rest, relaxation, and travel that you can enjoy. And again, a tool that can help you be present pre, post, and during your vacation or business travel. Thanks, everybody. And Ted, thank you so much again for being on. We'll see you next week. Have a great week, everybody.